So today we're going to look at representative democracy. So we must have studied democracy in the previous, let's say, first term, I guess. And we've seen what democracy means. So today we're going to look at, when we studied democracy, we looked at the types of democracy. We discussed direct democracy and then indirect or representative democracy. So today we're picking up representative or indirect democracy to look at it in detail. So let's see. We're going to look at the meaning. We're going to see its features. We want to see the conditions necessary for it to exist. And then we'll look at its merits and demerits. So what is the idea of representative democracy? Representative. Someone is representing me in the decision-making process. That's basically the idea, right? So it may be defined as a system of government in which the people, through election, elect those who will represent and govern the state on their behalf. So the people of a state, through election, pick those that will represent them in the decision-making process, because all of them can't go again to go make decisions because the population of the world have increased, but they can send representatives to make decisions on their behalf. Now, this system is also known as indirect democracy, and it replaced direct democracy. So what are its features? Number one, periodic election. For example, in Nigeria, election happens every 4 years. That's periodic election. Number two, this periodic election must be free and fair, must be credible, right? Next one is majority rule. Because democracy is a game of number, majority should always, the vote of majority should count, right? Next one is separation of powers. Now, the organs of government must have their powers totally separated. I mean, the governmental institutions separated across the three organs of government so that the rights of the people can be safeguarded and tyranny can be prevented. Party system. Now, there must be a given party system that works in that country. Either it's two-party system, it's one-party system, it's multi-party system, whatsoever. There must be one working in that country. Then we must also have existence of an opposition party. If there is a majority, if there is a party that wins the election, there must be an opposition, and it must be allowed to be vibrant and active. We also talk about universal franchise. That means everybody who has come of the age of voting should be able to vote, should have the capacity to vote. These are the features of representative democracy. Now, let's see conditions necessary for establishment of representative democracy. What are the conditions on ground that would allow representative democracy to thrive? Number one, if there is the strict application of the rule of law, it is being followed judiciously by everybody in the country. If there is a written constitution which is rigid and flexible, very important. If there is a practice of proper multi-system in the party system offered in the country, if universal adult suffrage thrives, right? If the judiciary is impartial and independent of the executive and legislature, if there is a respect for fundamental human rights, the rights of those living in that country, if there is the presence of a good electoral process, the electoral body must be up and doing. Now, let's go further and see the merits of representative democracy. The opportunity creates an avenue for the people to choose their leader, right? That's the first thing. The people have the opportunity, right? The system is very easy to operate, very simple and easy to operate. And when a legitimate government is in power, when a government is duly elected by the people, it gives room for stability and development of the government and the environment. It makes the elected leaders accountable to the people because their power came from the people, right? The presence of the rule of law makes those in government to have respect for the law of the land. Remember, the rule of law means that the law of the land is supreme over and above any other person in that land at that moment. Demerits. The judiciary may be controlled by the government in power, which is true. Rigging can happen. Electoral malpractice of all sorts can happen. Even those elected can decide to represent their selfish interest instead of that of the people that put them in that position. Now, politicians who want to acquire power at all costs may go an extra mile to win election. So this event may not be done accordingly. Some people see politics as a dirty game, and as such, it scares honest men and women from contesting in election. So these are some of the issues that affect representative democracy. When you know you are competing with criminals and drug lords, you're not going to do that thing. They can snuff your life out at any point in time, right? So that's what I think we're handling for today. If you have any question or any clarification, please insert it in the comment section. I'm going to be there to listen to us and read whatever we've dropped there, right? So remember, we looked at representative democracy, its meaning, its features, conditions necessary for its establishment, and then the merits and demerits of representative democracy, right?